Welcome back, y'all. Okay, so 2031 is coming up very quickly, and there's worries. You Rugby World Cup officials have worries. All right, an article was put out on the Sports Business Journal that said there have been concerns raised within the larger rugby unions about the commercial and strategic rationale for World Rugby's decision to host the men's 2031 Rugby World Cup in the US. Doubts that are being accentuated by the political machination for the November elections, according to Gavin Mars of the London Telegraph. The most prevalent one is questioning whether the investment required to improve the performance of the US Eagles will be throwing good money after bad. This is huge. Good. I'm going to just bring up this article. Others say that even with a concerted high performance program in place, time is running out. Nothing will turn off the TV audience in the US more quickly than if their national side are humiliated at their own tournament. There is also the question of legacy. Even if the tournament itself is a success, is there any hope that it will leave a lasting footprint? Having seen football fail to crack the market, football being soccer, despite high-profile signings of foreign talent for their domestic leagues. Skeptics suggest that hosting the 2031 World Cup in an established market such as the UK would deliver a strong commercial return and timely payday for the unions, without any risk of the US drive. Supporters of the U.S. plan, however, point out that similar concerns were voiced ahead of the Japan hosting the 2019 World Cup, and yet it delivered a surplus of $462.2 million and a lasting legacy, most notably in this financial strength of their domestic league. With rugby's global economy currently reliant on the UK and French markets to generate 60% of the revenue, which is insane, it is seen as critical to expand the sport into the U.S. to ensure long-term growth beyond incremental growth of return to an already saturated market. New Zealand Rugby Union CEO Mark Robinson said that it was critical to maximize the remaining time with a major coordinated drive to ensure that the U.S. growth strategy succeeds, including staging more fixtures in the U.S. The brainstorming could result in the Premiership and Super Rugby playing high-profile fixtures in the U.S., while other internationals are expected to be staged there. This is the thought process that's going on with this, and this is my thoughts on this one. These people are not wrong, but their solutions are stupid. Their solutions are so malignly dumb, without realizing what it is that it takes to be able to succeed in this market. The fact of the matter is, if they think that throwing money into the US Eagles is a waste of money, I don't disagree with them. If they continue to keep thinking that not throwing money into the grassroots and develop the audience around it isn't good usage, that's where I find a problem. Yes, they want to utilize, bringing Super League teams and let's bring all these big teams over to the U.S. to be able to play. Obviously, NRL has been trying this method as well, too. And I go back again to you're not providing the why for the American public. You're just providing another event that exists that needs time to be able to develop. That's not what's going to make the 2031 Rugby World Cup succeed. And the people who did say that what was said ahead of Japan were right. There was a lot of concerns. What's not being said about Japan is the amount of time that the Japan Rugby Union took to developing their audience, not with just random game. They developed their audience. I went to that 2019 Rugby World Cup. There was not, I don't know what other Rugby World Cups is, but I've heard about what happened in Paris. There's not been a level of professional acceptance from an entire culture like there was in Japan. Japan Rugby had their residents ready to choose teams that were not Japan. If Japan had lost, I don't think they would have made a difference, because there were people that were there for Australia. There were people that were rooting for Wales. There were people that were rooting for New Zealand. There were people that were rooting for England. They had people preset to kind of follow into this. You be a fan of the event. Just be a fan of the event. We will teach you everything you need to know about how to be able to function in this event. why do you care about this event, what you need to care about this event, how to be able to proceed forward, how do you acknowledge it, and when these foreigners come in, how do you treat them? How do you make sure that they feel like they are the most important people in the world? And that is why that 462.2 million ended up happening. That was as great a run event as you could ever have. There was no arrogance in anything that was done. Did you know that when you had buses that were going, there was literally miles long of volunteers clapping for you, going, hey, congrats, let's go. You never see that in any of the other Western countries, and I don't think you'll see that in the US either. So whenever you're talking about how do you want to make sure that this whole event doesn't flop horrendously in the US, you have to be like, how are you tapping into the culture? And everything that they said there had nothing to do with being in the culture. Everything is, how do we be rugby? How do we be rugby? Let's do more rugby. You literally see Ilona Maher that's out here in a culture. She is in the culture, all right? That is not the rugby culture. She is in the cultural fiber of the U.S. She has more capability of making an effect and making the 2031 and subsequently 33 Rugby World Cup much better than what these people literally just suggested. Yeah, you can create the anthem and try and be what they can. But the thing is, the reason why the U.S. public would not give a crap about the Rugby World Cup after the U.S. would lose in it or got mollywopped in it is because you've given them nothing in the culture to do with it. Let me see some of these biggest stars come over here and be on a show. Come be a part of the podcast here in the U.S. Come be a part of YouTubers or streamers that are in the U.S. talking here in the U.S., talking to the U.S. audience. This is the same thing that's been happening in music at the same time. I know more particularly within Black culture than I do within maybe general pop culture, but there was Tyler, who is a musical artist from South Africa, who came in, and the variations of how race goes in South Africa are different than the U.S. But in the U.S., she's a Black woman, and in connection to try and deal with the culture of music and hip hop and R&B in this country, you have to tap in to that Black audience in a way that they recognize it. And contention happened with it, where there was confusion on how these identities are being presented and how it is connected with that audience. That is what I'm starting to see here. Once again, I don't know who is consulting from the US to go for South Africa, but whoever is doing it is horrible. They're not doing surveys. They are not tapping into the culture. They're trying to play this like this is the soccer world, the football World Cup, or that this is the Super Bowl, and I love what Marty Power said, and we said in the earlier episode, that this is like minor league baseball that you need to build up. They need to be taken out from the Savannah Bananas. What are the Savannah Bananas doing to make it interesting? Go find what the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Commanders, whatever the generals, whatever they're called, what are they doing to continue to build their audience? Because obviously they got like 50, 60 years on them, but they had to change up. That is who you're supposed to be going off from. So this rages me because, one, I really do not see a great trajectory right now as we watch another MLR team go off, and people are going to be like, well, it's an MLR team. It's the product of the progress of professional rugby. No, whenever a professional team is either being broken down, they've typically broken down within tiny markets that are not sustainable for what the greater expansion is. When you are in a major city market, you do not break down in a major city market. The Dallas Cowboys have been the Dallas Cowboys for the better part of what? Since 1960, whenever the Dallas Chiefs moved to Kansas City in NFL, they've been going on. That's 60 years. They didn't constrict because of the fact that they didn't have enough people to watch. It was because of the fact that they moved to a different market. Teams that have constricted, like whether they were in Albuquerque or something like that, have been because of the fact that you have just not enough people to sustain what that team needs. And this goes again, why I keep saying goes back to 2031. You are not touching the culture. You are not touching the culture. Again, you are not touching the culture. And every time you talk about it, no matter how many games you bring in, those games mean nothing because they're not part of the U.S. culture. To be part of the U.S. culture is to interact into things that are highly prevalent in the culture. They're about to try and ride Ilona. I know this for a fact. I better see that they paid her like $500,000 to be able to ride her through to 2028 and subsequently 2030. Because if they don't, she deserves way more for what she's doing. Because these people are not learning their lesson. The fact that Britain and France, who arguably have two of the worst rugby business models in the world, are holding up 60% of the revenue generation is insane. Yes, they got the population. Yes, they got the story to it, but their business model is crap. Ain't a single profitable business in rugby in either of those two regions, country and then region, because the UK is a region, set of countries. So I'm looking at this, and this is what makes my blood boil. This is what makes me go like, you're really ignoring it. Like, this is where sometimes I go, I don't want Europeans having a voice in U.S. terms. And they're talking about even the November elections. The November elections aren't going to do anything for this. Like, this is sports. You're Western countries. You're the least affected that it's going to be if Donald Trump gets into office. You're the least affected. This is all about either African countries, Middle Eastern, Asia, South America, Caribbean. Those countries are affected. UK and France are literally going to be the least impacted by this. So STFU, right? But like, when you're still not even taking into consideration that you still have not been like, what are we doing that is not culturally relevant? Who are we not connecting with? Like, why are we not trying to reach out to influencers and organizations that literally are guiding spots or tent poles for what this culture is? Why are we not connecting with the musicians? What are we doing that's making this exciting? You can't have people that don't understand this and then try and come into the U.S. market. And then I'm going to say one more thing off of this, because again, it's really making me rage a lot. It's really making me rage out a lot. I think AEG has been the one that has been spearheaded the Rugby World Cup in the U.S. campaign, and then had the addition of other people. I need AEG, who legitimately has grounds in U.S. culture. The concept of what they've done has all been built in the U.S. You do promotions for music and concerts. I need you to get your head out your ass. All right. I don't know what it is that you're doing within rugby, but you need to get your head out your ass, because you are not doing things that are culturally relevant. I don't know if you need to go and find more people that are into culture. Maybe diversify your staffers. Maybe diversify who your youth base is, your internship. But you are not connecting with the grassroots. You're not connecting with the U.S. population audience. You're not connecting with the people that actually make this event go through, because this should be $1 billion event, hands down. Maybe I think technically it should be in the US should be a $5 billion event. Like the Rugby World Cup should be a $5 billion event. You're doing it across the nation. All right. You're doing it across different platforms. You're having people travel. You're going to be getting an influx of maybe 20 million people coming into the country to be able to watch this Rugby World Cup. And if this does not end up being $1 billion event, with the individual stadiums that are going to be participating in it being those cities being major participants in revenue generation for those cities, you have failed completely. You have zero purpose. Your events are not good enough to be justifying that you have somebody from the UK literally just going, bring in more games. Like, you're doing nothing in this in between moment. Your biggest idea plans have been create the Carolina anthem. All right, bet. Yeah, no, I think that's where we need to go. Get the fuck out. Build the USA rugby team. Make sure they're good. Like, what? Oh my God, it's not this difficult. The US is not this. It's hard. It's hard because it's competitive. But if you've got money, and apparently money is being invested into it, it's not this difficult. It is not that it's literally just a little bit of research. You can go look on spot. Get on Joe Rogan. That will at least access you 20 million people on it. Get on Joe Rogan and then go find the smaller ones. Get on the pivot in some way. Send someone over to the pivot. If you have a game coming, make sure they're connected. Find whoever is managing Ilona Mar's people, who's managing Ilona Mar, because they're doing a way better job than you guys have ever done. Like, this is too aggravating to me to see and read it and be like, yo. And again, we're going back one more step again. You're not even touching the grassroots. You're going to be, oh, the grassroots is too large. We saw the numbers. It's 80,000 people that are out here. 80,000 people that are registered to play rugby in the U.S. right now. 80,000 people. STFU, if you think this is too much to be able to work the grassroots, that you're not doing enough of it. And I don't mean community-based, let me go help the Miss Needy. No, I mean like legitimately doing things that intrigue and excite the base in the U.S. in the regions. You got these MLR teams, all these places. Yo, these academies, these people invest something that they need to mandatorily create an event that is legitimately exciting with legitimate artists that take advantage of the region that they are in. If I'm in Chicago, I better see maybe not Kanye, maybe not a Chief Keef, but I better see some dumb, crazy amount of Chicago artists that are popping up out of Chicago that invigorate the youth base. If I am in LA, boy, you don't even have an excuse. LA is an epicenter for talent and intrigue and popularity and entertainment. Yo, New Orleans, I've said this consistently. In New Orleans, Lil Wayne just said he didn't get the Super Bowl. How are you going to go and rectify that? New Orleans, you should be finding a way to get Lil Wayne onto the stage in the MLR in some way, shape, or form. I don't care what it is, but he needs to be performing at an MLR game or at an MLR championship. I don't know when the next championship is supposed to be held at, but if it is not getting that, yo, you are screwing this up. This is where the poor investment comes into. This is why Dallas gets shut down. This is why you're $5 million into a hole at the MLR. This is why USA Rugby is broke. This is why World Rugby is going broke. This is why you lose teams. This is why Rugby League continues to expand itself. This is why it's just all these things are not this difficult. It's not this difficult. Ah! So, anyways, let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know how you guys feel, because I can't look at that. I can't see these things anymore and just continue to be like, oh man, there's just nothing they can do. You just don't. You are the worst. You are horrible promoters. You are so don't stop hiring agencies that are legacy agencies. Hire agencies that are smaller and that are more based in the community. Because these legacy ones either don't give a crap about who you are, don't feel that you are important, or they legitimately are not good at what they do because they are not giving you crap for deal. DJ Marshmello, freaking, who do we got for USA Rugby? You seen the lineup for USA Rugby? Like, oh my God. All right, man. We'll be back after this last commercial. Let's talk some final points for the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
There's wheat flour that you can eat. My name is GiftTime in Baylor. I'm here with Health Enhanced Foods. And I want to tell you about one of our best and most beloved products, our sweet white wheat baking mix. Now, this is the baking mix for those who are not really looking for something that's gluten-free, but they are looking for something that they can eat that is going to still be healthy and is not going to be dangerous. White flour is typically a very processed, incredibly bleached flour, and it's not good for you. It's incredibly cheap for a reason. Our sweet white wheat bread mix is whole grain, dairy-free, high in dietary fiber, free of additives, and is absolutely unprocessed and unrefined. With our sweet white wheat bread mix, you can feel like you're getting all the same rewards that you would get from poor white bread, but with all the nutritional value. You're able to still make your bread loaves or your cakes, your flat bread or your cookies, but you don't have to feel like you are going to be robbing yourself of good carbohydrates. You can get the sweet white wheat bread mix from healthenhancedfoods.com. Absolutely go impress your friends and family with the greatest bread while not making them feel like they have to be gluten-free at the same time. No dangers, full body pleasures. Go ahead and get yours today. Let's go.